I'm making a custom kitchen island for baking so my wife can make me all the cookies that I want. It's not very often that I find a hard piece of wood in front of me, but today is my lucky day. Okay, let's be real. This is hard white maple, and I'll be cutting each of these 97-inch boards into two 36-inch boards with some golden scrap left over. Altogether, they'll make a 24 by 36-inch top for this kitchen island. In order to do that, we need to chop them up with the miter saw and then start getting these pieces flat for using the joiner. At some point in time, my record cycle got mixed up, so when I wanted to record, I didn't, and when I didn't want to record, I did. So footage of the jointer being used at some other time we'll have to do, and I did the same thing with the table saw. I'm sorry. The face that I'm marking with I's and O's will be called the front. I is the top, and O is the bottom. When I joint the top, the front will face the fence, and when I joint the bottom, the front will face me. That's the in and out method for getting perfect glue ups to get rid of any fence misalignment issues. Now watch me as I perform my most impressive feat. Dowels, 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 and more dowels. Dowels are one of my favorite methods for joinery. I'm sure if I had a domino that would be my go-to, but something about the simplicity of joinery, dowel joinery, it just brings me peace. And this Jessam dowel jig, while it's not the best, a built-in clamp would be a bit better. The quality is still extremely good, and it's a tool that I can recommend. One thing about woodworking in an unheated garage, you're always at the mercy of the weather, and when it's minus 50 degrees Celsius outside, glue takes longer to dry. Moisture acts very weird, and things that were flat probably won't stay flat. And you're always cold and impatient and just wanting to be done with the project. So I left this on the floor after it came out of clamps because it wasn't perfectly flat, hoping it would climatize and go flat. And then using the table saw, I cut it to final size with some minor burning. Not sure if this was because of the blade or because of the unflatness of the wood. Probably it was both. And because I finished the top, I need to start the bottom. Simple plywood construction cabinet armed with a list, a motivational quote. I got to work doing what I do best. Sketchy crap. I quite enjoy using this straight cut jig that I made, however it's overbuilt and has a pretty big flaw, which didn't become apparent at this time, but when I cut another piece with the depth of the blade a little lower, well, the other half just fell onto the ground. The cabinet will have two sides. Each of those sides will have one dado groove in it to hold a shelf, but for stability reasons I will need some nailing strips. Now, they're not for nailing, but they will hold it nicely together. Cutting this groove was made simply using double-sided tape, a straight edge, and the Freud undersized plywood router bits. They are perfectly sized for standard plywood sheet thicknesses. Now that we have our grooves cut, it's time to get everything to final dimension. I started oversizing pieces when I build things because I make way too many mistakes, and this saves me a lot of time correcting those mistakes. Joinery for this will be done primarily with pocket holes and glue. However, with the lack of hands, I do utilize a brad nailer, which is another great tip for building cabinets or anything you don't have enough hands. I just want to take a brief moment to put this on the table and say thank you for watching. I hope you're enjoying this video and subscribe if you are. It helps bring me closer to doing my dream job. This marks my 4th cabinet that I've made. I am by no means a professional, and when it comes to woodworking in general, I'd more so refer to myself as a novice. And as a novice, sometimes we make mistakes. Okay, we make mistakes a lot. And in this brief SketchUp drawing, you may notice a green rod I highlighted that I forgot to put it in when I was assembling. So now I need to backtrack, drill some holes, and I ended up actually altering the entire design of it. I used the Forstner bit from this cheap big box store set, which came with multiple sets of duplicates. I got the rod in place, I cut it to the perfect size, and a quick sneak peek at how it looks. And my most disliked thing to cut, MDF. Time to get ready. I'm using MDF for all of the trim, for the drawers themselves. I heard it was really easy to work with, good painting results. I did forget some pocket holes to attach the face frame, so I quickly added those in. One thing not mentioned was thickness of MDF. 1/2-inch MDF is very difficult to use for joinery, like pocket holes, without massive tear-outs. I won't go over putting together a face frame as I wasn't actually happy with the results of this. I ran into a lot of issues. Now, you may notice something missing here. And if you guessed the dowel, you're correct. I covered it up, the holes on both sides. After getting the front attached, I moved on to a simpler just nail in place method. The MDF is all decorational and won't have any structure or stresses on it, unlike the physical mental stress I just experienced watching me do whatever that was to that sheet of MDF. Now I need a back for the cabinet, not myself. I cut it to size and with a brad nailer, attach it to the back. I used a flush trim bit to get it flush, and this was absolutely disgusting. Quickly popping off the trim to the side and squeezing a dowel in place. Finally, it's where it should be. The top goes on, sandpaper gets sanding, and I do a round over all around the top, but I don't record it because why? Well, I suck at recording and doing this as a job. I needed to attach my drawer slides, and they needed to be clear of the face frame, so scrap material placed on some pre-measured and cut pieces for easy repeatability. Next, the drawers. We are so close to finishing this project. MDF again, it's so gross, I hate it. I cut it into equal size strips. I need 2 drawers measuring just under 2 by 3 feet. I use my table saw, scrap, measurement blocks, 1/4-inch depth dado to get the drawer bottom in, which is just a piece of hardwood that's been kicking around for a while. I used only brad nails and glue for assembly because pocket holes weren't reliable for this material. And on to painting. And this was probably one of the funnest parts of this build, even though I hate finishing things. I do love the green though. What do you think about the green? And once again, if you're enjoying this video, subscribe. That'd be so great. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers. That's freaking awesome to almost be back where we were. Removing all this plastic and tape was so satisfying. I kind of wish I made the top overhang though. I attached my drawer side drawer slides and then popped them in using some double-sided tape. I attached the already painted drawer faces and project done. Maybe now I can get some gosh damned cookies. Subscribe if you liked this video and take a look at the finished project. Product. Not a product, I wouldn't say.